Well, abortion rights activists and environmental activists have been key supporters of the Democratic Party for the past 40 years. But in the last 2 weeks, we've seen a Democratic president sign an executive order reaffirming a ban on federal funding for abortion and potentially open up hundreds of miles of coastline for oil drilling.
So how much more pressure can the party's base take before it begins to crumble? Cecile Richards is president of Planned Parenthood Federation of America. And Cecile, thanks for joining us.
Sure.
So I ask you that. Is there any, what is the level of grumbling with some key Democratic activists? This is, abortion rights activists, environmental activists, been part of the Democratic base for decades. Do you worry that there could be some fraying of the coalition here with any more moves by this White House?
Actually, I think most of us are feeling, certainly at Planned Parenthood, very excited about the passage finally of health care. And that this is a historic piece of legislation. We've been working with the White House hand in hand on this bill for more than a year. And I think that as women understand what's in this bill and what a historic advance this is for women's health care access, I think actually this is going to be a real benefit for the president and probably for the Democratic Party.
So you don't mind the executive order?
I think the executive order was symbolic. We didn't like it, absolutely. But I think if you look at the bigger substance of this bill, Savannah, the important thing is this is going to expand health care coverage for millions of women and their families. It's going to finally eliminate discrimination against women, which we've faced for years in insurance coverage. And then I think for the basic kinds of health care, particularly that Planned Parenthood provides, cancer screenings, birth control, family planning, this is going to open up affordable health care for a lot of women. And again, I think in the overall picture, this bill was a big win for women.
What is the role that you feel Planned Parenthood should play in politics these days? The agenda, what do you say is the agenda of Planned Parenthood? Is it to continue to fight for, to make sure that laws aren't rolled back when it comes to the issue of abortion? What is the role of Planned Parenthood these days?
Sure. Well, look, I think that we have 4 million supporters around the country. We're the largest women's health care provider of reproductive health care. And so on our political arm, the Planned Parenthood Action Fund, we're very involved. We were involved in the 2008 elections. We mobilized more than 1 million women voters to elect not only a pro-choice president, but add more than 26 pro-choice members to the House and Senate. And I think that's going to be critical this November. One of the things about this health care bill, because obviously it isn't perfect, and there was, the big fight over Mr. Stupak's attempt to amend the bill to prohibit abortion coverage. I think it was a real wake-up call for our supporters who realize that we don't have a pro-choice Congress and that they need to be involved in really looking at not only what are folks' position on choice, but also what are their position on health care access. I think voted against this bill and that really tried to amend this bill to eliminate coverage are going to have they're going to have to face women voters in November, and Planned Parenthood Action Fund will be there to educate them about their stand.
You mentioned, you say we don't have a pro-choice Congress. Where do you think the electorate is right now on abortion?
We poll, of course, all the time, and this is a pro-choice country, and it's historically.
What do you base that on? Because, there's different polling firms ask this in different ways.
Right.
So tell me specifically, how do you ask it that tells you the country is a, quote, pro-choice country?
It's that, and I'm not going to go through all the various polls because you're right, Chuck, there's a million ways you can ask this question. But when fundamentally people are asked whether they want government to eliminate the right of women to choose abortion if they so choose, the country is very clear. They feel like this is a settled issue. And frankly, what voters really want the government to work on is reducing unintended pregnancy, reducing teen pregnancy, and making sure that birth control and other health care is affordable for women. So I actually think that that's where the country is focused. And when you find what voters are looking at, and particularly women voters, look, 10 million more women voted in 2008 than men. They are the determinative voting bloc, and they absolutely care where candidates stand on allowing women to make all of their choices and to get the health care that they need. And that's what I think is really going to be a focus.
Are you comfortable with anti-abortion Democrats being part of the party? I mean, we saw Congressman Stupak almost single-handedly derail the health care bill over this issue.
Right. Well, I think that's Savannah, I think that's an excellent point. Obviously, the party is a big tent. That's their business. I'm not responsible for the Democratic Party. I do think, though, that when we saw one member of Congress attempt to derail and basically determine for 60 million women what kind of health care coverage they could purchase with their own dollars, it was very upsetting, and that's why we saw thousands of women get involved in this health care campaign. And I think these are women that then, of course, will be paying attention as voters in November. I think that it was distressing for folks, and I don't think that's how they think the democratic process should work.
Two quick political questions.
Yeah.
First of all, are you guys getting involved in the Arkansas Democratic primary between Blanche Lincoln and Bill Halter?
No, we are not, and frankly, Senator Lincoln was helpful to us in the, as you know, that the Stupak amendment was defeated in the Senate, and not only Senator Lincoln, but also the two Republican senators from Maine. I really applaud them for their stand in opposing this kind of restriction.
And I can't let you go without asking you about Texas. I know you've had some familiarity with Texas politics.
Yes.
Your late mother there, the former governor.
Right.
What are the chances? When you hear Democrats talking up Bill White's chances against Rick Perry,
right,
do you raise an eyebrow and say, yeah, he's got a chance, or do you believe it's real?
Hope springs eternal in Texas. I think that it's a state that's really changing demographically, and I think you're beginning to see, I think Democrats do very well in that state, so I think it's absolutely a competitive state.
All right, Cecile Richards with Planned Parenthood, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Chuck. Thanks, Savannah.
Okay, we'll do our trivia.